but I wanted to start the series with an overview of the rules of the challenge. This is not like a super in-depth explanation, just a quick overview. There's maybe about 20-ish slides to go through, and then we'll get into the gameplay. Ah, Resky Tursky, hello. Thank you for coming to the stream. I'm glad you were here. So we've got a couple of people here, and it's already 10 minutes into the stream, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with my slideshow. Okay, so this challenge was originally developed for The Sims 2 by a user named Vllygrl over on ModTheSims. But I was inspired to do this after watching Let's Play with Fire over on YouTube. She's got a couple of medieval series going, one for Sims 2 and one for Sims 3. And I kind of wanted, after watching that, I wanted to adapt the medieval charter challenge for myself for Sims 3. So here are some links in the chat if you want to read the original rules, or go check out Let's Play with Fire's YouTube channel. So the Medieval Charter Challenge is similar to a Build-A-City challenge, where we're kind of starting from the ground up almost, and leveling up the town as we go, adding new families and new lots as we move through the different levels. We start with a level 1 settlement, and then the end of the challenge is when we get to level 5, Charter City. So just with the nature of the challenge and the random occurrence scenarios, we may end up losing Sims along the way. But we're going to be gaining more Sims, more households. They're going to be having families, so it's like a little bit of a legacy on a larger scale. Okay, so we start with 9 families. The rules initially say 7, but I ended up with extra just because of the randoms, like the randomization I did. We'll play each family in a rotation for the same amount of time. We're going to do 7 days. And once we've played through all of the families, including any that get added via leveling up or whatever, then that will complete one rotation, or a full season, because we're going to play the same season for every family. At the end of each week, the family owes rent and taxes according to their station, and that money will go straight into the royal treasury. Once the treasury reaches certain thresholds, then we get new lots. Like at 5,000, we get the village, green, and communal well. Later on at like 15,000, we get like a foundling home and a charity hospice and all that stuff. Once we have all the required lots placed, like once we've unlocked all the required lots for a level and placed them, then we move up to the next level, which adds more stuff, like more families and more lots that we can get. So each of the families are in a like a particular social class or station, and each station. Oh, thanks for the follow, Resky. And each station comes with restrictions and freedoms that the Sims have to abide by. So we've got peasant, yeoman, merchant, gentry, noble, and royal. Oh, Cobalt Moon 24, thank you for the follow. Though the Sims, they're not stuck in the social station that they're born into. There's going to be opportunities for them to move up by purchasing a title. They can marry into another station, or a title can be gifted to them via a random occurrence scenario. And they can also lose stations this way. So we might have some promotions or demotions over the course of the challenge. So here's a quick overview of what the peasant class is allowed to do. They can't use or own books for skill building except for bookworm sims. That's an exception I'm making myself. They're limited to farming occupations and low-level artisan trades. And if we have any rabbit hole careers rolled, then they're capped at level 3. Do the rules apply throughout the whole game? What do you mean? Some examples of peasant occupations are woodcutter, painter, miner, midwife, fisherman. What is that? Street performer? Yeah. And military. If they're in a farming career or an artisan career, they can have a very basic home business to sell the extra stuff that they don't use for themselves. The next class up is the yeomans. And they can also do farming occupations. They can do the skill-based careers like gardening and sculpting and all that stuff. If they're in any rabbit hole careers, then they're limited to they're capped at level 6. So we've got some herdsmen, we'll have taverners, beekeepers, a blacksmith, carpenter, a stylist, law enforcement. So their home businesses will be really robust, but they're not allowed to own a community law business. Oh, Cobalt, you're Plum Bob's from Tumblr. I'm so excited that you're here. This is the rules for the challenge. These are going to apply for the entire game, Rusky. Next class up is merchant. These are the families that are going to be owning the community law businesses, like the weekly market, music venues, taverns, inn. We'll probably only have one inn at the end. Artisans gallery. They can also invest in rabbit hole businesses or own them outright. Merchant children and teens can attend school at the local convent or monastery whenever we get those lots, but they're not allowed to attend university. And I've decided that this class can also hire service NPCs if they wish. Next class up is gentry, which is like lower level nobility, but for the purposes of this, we're splitting the nobility up into gentry and noble. So like knights and barons would be in this class. They can make a living in high-ranking artisan careers or rabbit hole careers that are specific to the gentry, but they're capped at level 6. So like they can be in journalism or politics. Later on, we'll get a bard in the gentry class or a minstrel band. They're also, in order to make money, they can also own one of the following lots: a fishing fleet, which is a beach or a fishing venue, hunting grounds, a mine or a farm, which is like they would own the farm or the mine, but the other Sims would come and like work the land and give the revenue from that stuff to the gentry owner. Do I have a cat? You hear purring. It's not me, and I don't have a cat. It might be my laptop fan. I have a little laptop fan to keep it from overheating. Is it too distracting? Because I can unplug it. Gentry children and teens may attend school if they wish, but they can't attend university. But they can also hire NPCs. Next class is the nobility. They start their careers at level 7, be it like rabbit hole or I don't think we're going to do any artisan careers for nobles, but it'll mostly be rabbit holes and stuff. Oh, you just have super hearing? Okay. Well, let me know if it starts to bother you and I'll unplug it. Clergy, so We might have like a custom like priest or nun career later on. Intelligence, architecture. They can also own these special lots like the fishing fleet, hunting grounds, mine, and farm. Um, these children are going to be homeschooled, so that they won't go to school to the like the school rabbit hole, but they can attend university. And I do have a mod that allows Sims to homeschool and do homework and all that stuff, so we don't lose out on picking their traits if we want to. Um, Nobility families can have servants as part of the playable household, or they can buy a Bonehilda. And this is kind of the same for the royalty class as well, but we're not going to have any royal families until much later. So I didn't really include them in this. Okay, so when it comes to choosing the heir of each family, the rules have a couple of options. We can do patriarchal, matriarchal, or egalitarian. Um, in this challenge, I've decided we're going to do egalitarian for the most part. So the oldest child of the family will inherit the family business and the family house and continue that way. Though, if if it's a better story for like a different sim to inherit, then we'll probably go with that. You know, I'm gonna be flexible. Okay, so this is where it might get a little bit complicated with marriage, and we'll get there. So peasants and yeomen can marry for love, but marriages for all other classes must be arranged. First and second daughters have a dowry, and they're like specific amounts for the dowry as well. Same-sex pairings are allowed between non-heir sims. This is a rule that Let's Play with Fire instituted when she started having homosexual sims and wanted them to be able to marry, even though like same-sex pairings in the Middle Ages, I don't want to say they were non-existent, but like, you know, we don't we don't want to make life harder for our homosexual sims than it needs to be. So marrying between stations can be a little complex, and I made a flowchart on the next slide. And hello, Klutzy. I'm not saying this is like historically accurate, but it's what made sense to me, and this is a system I'm going to follow. All right, you guys ready for this awesome flowchart? Boom. Flowchart. Okay, so we'll do like one example or maybe two, and I'll guide you through the flowchart. Just what marriage needed rules. I am like, I am such an extra person. Like this, yeah. All right. So as an example, we have a teenage girl in our town. Her name is Flora Nicolosi. She is a yeoman class sim, and she is the oldest daughter of the Nicolosi family. So let's say that she wanted, or let's say that we were thinking about pairing her up with Luke Hofstad, which is the heir of the Hofstad family, and they are peasant fishermen. All right, so let's start with at the top of the flowchart. Is your sim an heir, a firstborn daughter, or a non-heir? She is both an heir and a firstborn daughter. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Stream was buffering. She's both an heir and a firstborn daughter, but the rules are the same for both things. Is the prospective fiance in the same station or a station above? Luke Hofstad is a peasant, so he's a station below her. So he is neither. Boom, no marriage allowed. Let's say that she wanted to marry Eric Winthrop, who is the heir to the Winthrop family, and they are yeoman beekeepers. Flowcharts are so helpful. Yeah. So he is the same station as Flora. Yeah. Marriage allowed, station remains the same. Let's say that we had a merchant family that Flora wanted to marry into. So one station above. Okay. Is the prospective fiance an heir, firstborn daughter, or non-heir? You're in love. Oh, thank you for contributing to the community challenge, Casual. Let's say that she wanted to marry like the second son of a merchant family. He would be a non-heir. Boom. Marriage allowed. Prospective fiance would take Sim's current station. So if Flora were to marry the second son of a merchant family, her husband would take her station. So he would downgrade to a yeoman. And then let's do a second example, moving on to a different family. 43%. You're a big fan of flowchart? That's cool. I was a little bit worried about this because it's a little bit complicated. And I don't even know if you can see my cursor, you guys. I really hope you can. Okay, yeah, it's very tiny. All right, so how about Sophia Winthrop? She's a toddler right now, but she is the youngest daughter of the Winthrop family. So she is not an heir. So we would go down this branch of the chart. So she's not an heir. Prospective fiance. Let's say we wanted to pair her with Marcus Hofstad, who is the second son of the Hofstad family. So he's not an heir either. Is the prospective fiance in the same station, the station below, or the station above? He's in the station below. Marcus is. Yeah. So is he the first, or is he an heir or a non-heir? Marcus is a non-heir. So marriage is allowed. So Sophia and Marcus could get married if they wanted to. Oh, hold on, casual. My auto mod caught something. Oh, you're welcome, Klutzy. Yeah, I mean, I try to keep this kind of PG-13 casual. So that's, I mean, I'll allow it this time just because it wasn't like a gratuitous thing. But try to keep that in mind. Use like woohoo instead. Anyway, so their marriage is allowed. They're allowed to get married. Is this a same-sex pairing? No. So wife takes husband station. So this would also be a downgrade for Sophia. So if Sophia Winthrop married Marcus Hofstad, she would take Marcus's station. She would go from a yeoman to a peasant. Just a joke. Okay, so we're going to move on from this flowchart. There's a couple of other options that we could do. Oh, what happened here? The arrow got messed up. Oh well. Moving on. I thought I had trouble finding a girl nowadays. Children. All right, so this part is going to be a little bit sad. I apologize in advance. Um, so during the Middle Ages, uh, medicine and hygiene and prenatal care and care for pregnant women was not super great. And so children often didn't make it to their first birthday, and a lot of women would die in childbirth. But we are not going to be like killing a bunch of sim children in our game. So so to simulate kind of the lower, like the slower birth rate and all that, each family has a limit on how many children they can have. But we're not going to like kill them or anything. They're just going to, like, the kids over the limit will have to be put up for adoption in the foundling home, which will be a special lot that we'll place later on. So peasants and yeomen can have 2 to 3 children. Merchants can have 4. Gentry 2 to 3. Nobility and royalty can have 2 children. So some of our families are already at their maximum number of children. Like the Hofstads, they have 5. So Karl Hofstad cannot have any more children because then those children would have to be put up for adoption. Either that or one of the older kids will have to move out and do like an apprenticeship with another family to learn their trade. Greedy merchants get the most. Yeah, that's exactly it. Hello, gamer girl. Welcome. Welcome to the presentation. We're almost through. All right, so we're going to be building like an integrated economy for the most part. Not a lot of rabbit hole careers to start off with. It's a lot of it's going to be home businesses and farming businesses. In the original challenge for The Sims 2, the open for business expansion gets you like business perks whenever you level up your business. We don't have that in The Sims 3, so we're going to do something a little bit different. For Sims that have home businesses that we can like track, like the gardener and the angler and all that stuff, we'll give them extra money or extra lifetime happiness points every 2 promotions. And depending on the level, we'll also roll a dice multiplier to see like how much money or how many lifetime happiness points they'll get. So that'll be our Sims 3 version of the business perks. Are you at Molly's stream? Was it good? Did she finish that castle? Okay, so whenever a Sim gets promoted, either in their job or in a social class, then we can buy a rank up item to kind of show off their wealth. But it can't be sold back through buy mode for any reason, and that kind of goes for all other furniture and decor as well. We can store stuff in the family inventory. We just can't sell anything back through buy mode again. There are exceptions where we can sell stuff through the Sims inventory, or in the consignment store, but for the most part, we're trying to keep like all the stuff like circulating in town, and like the economy is going to be like integrated in the town. Okay, random occurrence scenarios. Along with the rules, Vllygrl provided a list of random occurrence scenarios or plot twists, if you want to think of it that way. They affect the Sims in town on a family by family basis. The effects can be neutral, beneficial, or even downright disastrous. Like we could have Sims die because of a random occurrence scenario. Or we could have them get promoted, or have them adopt a child, or get money, or lose money. It's just, random things that could happen that you don't have a lot of control over. To choose a scenario, we'll roll a die and enact the scenario on the list that matches the number we rolled. However, we're not going to roll for a scenario the first time we play a family. So for this first round, for the next 9 weeks or whatever, we're not going to do a random occurrence scenario because I don't want to risk like losing Sims that we just got. I want to, have them settle in first before we start, ruining their lives and all that. Okay, here's some miscellaneous rules that didn't really fit anywhere else, but I wanted to include. For the specialized sculpting careers like blacksmith or the carpenter, the carpenter will be a sculptor that sculpts exclusively in wood. So he can, the carpenter can go collect wood from wood cutting trees and sell the wood through inventory in order to pay for the sculpting materials. And as long, and this counts for anyone who does sculpting or inventing, they can collect ore, stone, scrap metal, wood to pay for their sculpting materials or pay for their scrap. As long as the money that they made from selling this does not exceed the money that they paid for the sculpting materials, if that makes any sense. Yeah. If they made more money selling their ore, then, oh gosh, I'm not explaining this very well. So I think a wood sculptor costs 250 simoleons. Let's say that we sold a couple of wood piles for 300 simoleons. That extra 50 simoleons would be taxable. But if we sold only 100 or 200 simoleons worth of wood and paid 250 for the wood materials for the sculpture, then we would not be taxed on the wood that we sold. Okay, I hope that is understandable. Okay, so we have lifetime rewards that will have some restrictions, but for the most part, they're kind of all allowed. Dusty old lamp is not allowed, but we can acquire the lamp through other means, like exploring the mausoleum. Money received through a wish using the dusty old lamp is considered magic, and it's not taxable income. So it's basically just free money, and the government doesn't get any of it. The inheritance lifetime wish may only be redeemed once by the family's heir after both families have passed away. Both parents have passed away. And inheritance is taxed at 1.5 times the family's base income tax rate, payable immediately. So peasants have a 40% income tax rate. So a peasant who gets the inheritance would pay 40% plus half of that. So what is that? I can't do math. They would pay at least 40% tax on that inheritance, like right away. We wouldn't wait till the end. Fertility treatment is technically allowed, but it's not encouraged since we have a limit on how many kids we can have in the family. Any kind of modern or futuristic tech rewards are not allowed, obviously. They would be anachronistic. Sorry, I'm stifling a burp. The conclusion. This is just an overview of the rules. There's quite a bit more that we don't have time to go through. But I do have a link to the original rules. I'll put that here in the chat. You can read the original rules, and Vllygrl has given me permission to share my adapted version of the rules. So whenever I get that document together, I'll share that with you guys. So all the replays for this will be available on Twitch after the fact for a couple of weeks, and then they'll all be archived on my YouTube channel, and there'll be screenshots on my Tumblr and all that stuff. And we've got one more slide after this, and then we're going to move on to the gameplay. One final note is that Ravenwood is located in Tredeny, which is a territory under the control of Everford. And Everford is our kingdom over in The Sims Medieval. So Everford and Ravenwood are in a shared universe. So what happens in Everford may possibly affect what happens in Ravenwood. So here's a territory map for Sims Medieval. Here's Everford, our kingdom right here. Then Ravenwood is right there in Tredeny. Tredeny is this territory. Whoops. Sorry. I accidentally clicked and I ended the slideshow. Oops. Let's see if we can get back to that map. Yeah, so Tredeny is this location right here. Ravenwood is like right on the border between Tredeny and Tiktop, which is this country right here, and then this is Yakothia.